Okay, let's talk about Gold Butte National Conservation Area. Um, that's kind of a emotional issue throughout the town. There's two basically distinct groups of people who would like to see one thing opposite the other thing. That came up on the city council agenda about a month or so ago. Are you satisfied with the city's current resolution regarding Gold Butte?
No.
Okay.
Never was.
Okay.
I said that in the meeting. I wanted to eliminate it. Actually, my preference was to, the first motion was to eliminate it.
Yes.
So I seconded it. It was not voted on, or it was lost. So I made a second motion to amend it, and
yes.
Which was my first choice to begin with. And the amendment that I wanted was very specific, and I just wanted our resolution to say, yeah, we support a NCA in a limited form. We want a specific geography, defined, that is not 120,000 acres or 140 or 200. It's more like the 35,000 that was thrown out the first time or whatever. Some defined smaller area. Absolutely no wilderness areas, no new wilderness designations, no closings of any, specifics that says this is under the conditions that we support an NCA. Not just, we just support it. And that's what it says.
Right.
And then the committee formed by an act of Congress, which is the biggest oxymoron on the planet. There is no act of Congress. It's never done it. We weren't going to see that committee, and everybody knew we weren't going to see that committee. It's a great placating line in the document, but there was never going to be a committee. The committee it consists of the same people it's always committed. The Friends of Gold Butte and the whatever else. That's the committee. They formed it themselves without an act of Congress, which they know nobody would have. So no, I am for an NCA in a very limited respect, which essentially puts me against it because we'll never get it in a limited form. And my personal opinion is when government gets involved, they don't get any smaller, they get bigger. I don't care what you look around, you start something, it's only going to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my fundamental disagreement with it.
Well, there's a group in town of ATV enthusiasts. Doug Reith has some...
Doug who?
Reith.
Reith? I know Doug.
Yeah, I think, for full disclosure, I think you two work together.
Yes.
But he has some great ideas, if you're so inclined to that, about creating, if you will, an ATV mecca in Mesquite.
Well, I think that's more likely without an NCA than it is with one. I think because I think as wilderness creeps into it, there's nothing going to happen if there's a wilderness area. There's nothing, zero.
That's true.
And there's not going to be motorized access. And that's my fear, is when government gets involved, they can't help themselves. They've got to get bigger.
Do you think it's a good idea to promote more ATV usage in the area?
Absolutely.
There's people that say, well, they'll just tear up the desert. Okay.
I have nothing to say. I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, there's no other way to get out there. Let's face it. I guarantee you there's nobody riding an ATV out there right now. It's 114 today.
Right.
Which means there's less than zero chance of anybody walking out there today. So you're not going to access that by anything other than a motorized vehicle and few horses. And that's the reality of it. So either it's accessible or it's not. Now, do I think there should be some guidelines? Absolutely. You stay on defined roads. You can't just go tearing across the desert willy-nilly. I mean, absolutely guidelines. and penalties for not adhering to them. You know, the artifacts, absolutely, they're sacred artifacts. They shouldn't be messed with. You know, there's yes. I'm not talking about just go out there and tear it up.
Right. I'm not either. I don't think anybody is.
No, I don't think so either, and that's the point. I think that yeah, if you want to sit in your living room and not do anything, then it's easy to say they're going to tear it all up. But once you're out there doing it, and you've seen how people are more or less responsible, probably much more than less, and do it in a safe and sane and clean and environmentally non-extraordinarily damaging way, then I don't know. If you don't want to go out there, don't go out there.
Yeah. One of Doug Reith's ideas is that trails through the city would be designated for RTVs, and in essence, you could ride an RTV or ATV from your house through the city out to the trails and in the desert area.
I'd love to see that.
Well, about 2 years ago or so, the council and administration at the time really clamped down on streets that ATVs could use in the city.
Yeah, they did, and I think we revisited that early in our deal. I think, or it was at least a question that was raised, because the issue was, if I remember right, that with the improvement of these washes, you can't access them anymore. You know, it used to be they were just dirt channels that you run under the freeway, and you could just take it all the way down to the wherever on the other side out into the BLM. But now that they've been boxed, you can't technically go down them. So
boxed and fenced.
Yeah, so you can't get in them. So there has to be a mechanism of getting across town, and I think there should be, absolutely. The problem that I understand is Riverside Road. Obviously, it's the only bridge across the river. Mm-hmm. Riverside Road is NDOT.
Right, it's a state road.
And to my knowledge, there has been little or no real aggressive enforcement of any ATVs riding around in this town. Obviously, if you're not, I mean, I support wearing helmets. I support safety equipment, appropriate safety equipment, and driving safely in the city. But there's no, once they're on Riverside Road, there's no I mean, if the highway patrol's out there, there's nothing we can do about it. Mm-hmm. But I think our police have been very user friendly and not aggressive in pursuing.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that.
And so I think it's almost by default you have access to anywhere you want to go on an ATV. Having said that, would it be better to have designated trails? I think so. I think that clarifies it. It makes it so people you can post appropriate signage so people can be aware that you may encounter this. It's the same way with golf carts. I mean, that's...
Yes, that was the other one.
I don't have any big issues with that either. I don't... As long as they're obeying the traffic laws and have the basic, brake lights and... Mm-hmm. I don't even care about turn signals. I mean, we used to do that when I was a kid. I mean...
Yeah. Well, to kind of wrap it up, what would you personally like to see the council do in the next year? What are your goals? Do you have any? Are there any particular issues that you would like the council to visit in the next year? You guys have been pretty busy this past year, I got to tell you.
Yeah, I'd like to take the next year off. So no, I'd have to answer that no. No, you know what? This is probably a bad thing to even say. I don't go out and look for issues. I don't.
They just come to you.
I'm willing to address them as they come up, and I have yet to find something that I'm just not the type of person that goes out and looks for things to crap about or change for change's sake. So if something comes up or comes to my attention, I'm willing to fight for it. I'm willing to I think we will have some definitive or some direction, I think, in the Virgin River habitat issue at some point. I think we're working in the right direction there. Okay. That I would like to see resolved probably more than anything else. It's less about what we do, sadly, than what Clark County and Fish and Wildlife does, or
And just for clarification for the audience, that's the issue where the Virgin River Conservation Plan is an addition to the
Yes.
Clark County plan, where we pay a $550 fee to Clark County plus a $500 fee to the city.
Correct.
And in the future, if it goes forward, there'll be a third additional charge paid to the water district.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think that our goal is, and it's always has been, is one fee, one plan, and so that's where we're looking. But other than that, no, I don't go out looking for trouble. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today. It's been
Holy moly, an hour.
delightful. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you talk a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway. And we appreciate your service over the last year.
Thank you.
You guys have been extremely busy, but it's been very enjoyable watching you also.
Well, thanks. I'm glad somebody's having fun.
I do get some giggles every once in a while. Okay, thank you very much.